In the year 1357, a manuscript quietly recorded the existence of a vast land. Not a rumor, not a legend, not a story passed by word of mouth. A written record, a land so large, so organized, that it appeared clearly on medieval maps, not in the margins, not half-drawn, but placed confidently among other known regions. And yet today, this land no longer exists on any modern map. No border marks it, no nation claims it, no political identity remains. Its name was Tartaria. The manuscript from 1357 did not describe a myth. It did not speak in poetry, symbolism, or folklore. There were no metaphors, no warnings, no dramatic language. Instead, it listed regions, borders, cities, and peoples. Details that suggest familiarity. Written as if Tartaria was simply part of the known world. No mystery attached, no explanation required, just geography. To medieval scholars, the world was something that could be mapped. Not perfectly, not completely, but carefully. Monks copied maps by candlelight, often working for months on a single page. Travelers described lands they crossed, sometimes exaggerating, sometimes underestimating, but always trying to be understood. Traders recorded routes they survived, noting distances, dangers, and customs. And across Europe and Asia, again and again, the same name appeared, Tartaria, not once, not twice, but repeatedly. In manuscripts, in atlases, in geographic records meant to educate. This repetition matters, because mapmakers did not invent names lightly. Ink was expensive. Mistakes were copied for generations. On maps from the Middle Ages, Tartaria stretched across Central Asia, from the edges of Eastern Europe, across vast plains, toward the lands beyond China. This was not marked as empty wilderness. It was not left blank. It was drawn as a defined region, with borders, with labels, with space deliberately given to it. Space that could have been used for seas, or mountains, or unknown lands. Instead, it was named. The 1357 manuscript placed Tartaria among known kingdoms, alongside Persia, alongside China, alongside Europe. No special symbols, no danger markings, no mythical warnings, just another part of the world, as ordinary on the map as any recognized empire of the time. This is important, because medieval maps often included monsters, imaginary islands, and symbolic art. But Tartaria was not illustrated as fantasy. It was treated as real. Trade routes passed through Tartaria. The Silk Road, one of the most important networks in human history, connected its cities to merchants from distant lands. Silk moved west. Spices moved north. Metals moved east. But more than goods traveled these routes. Ideas moved everywhere. Languages blended. Religions crossed borders. Customs mixed and evolved. This was not isolation. This was integration. A region connected to the wider world, not hidden from it. Cities were drawn. Not detailed street plans, but marked enough to suggest importance. Borders were marked. Not sharp lines like today, but recognized zones of control. Rulers were implied, because maps of that era often reflected power structures, even when names were simplified. Tartaria was treated as something stable, something lasting, a political and cultural presence that map makers expected future generations to recognize. At least, that's how it appeared at the time, but over time, something changed. Not suddenly, not violently, quietly. Later maps began to adjust names, sometimes subtly, sometimes inconsistently. Borders softened, regions fragmented, labels shifted position or spelling, and slowly, almost quietly, the word Tartaria began to fade. Not erased in one moment, not crossed out, simply used less. By the 18th and 19th centuries, Tartaria was no longer shown as a single land. Instead, new names appeared, new empires, new nations, new political identities. Russia, China, independent regions, colonial descriptions. The old label didn't vanish suddenly. It was replaced, map by map, edition by edition. No single document explains why. There is no declaration announcing its end, no treaty dissolving Tartaria, no final ruler recorded, no last battle remembered. There was no recorded collapse, no dramatic fall, just disappearance. A name once common became unfamiliar, and unfamiliar names are easily forgotten. Some historians argue that Tartaria was never an empire. They say it was a European label, a broad term for unfamiliar territories, a convenient name used when details were lacking. To them, Tartaria was not a country, but a category, a way to describe lands that were not yet fully understood by Western scholars. In this view, Tartaria was shorthand, not identity. Others disagree. They point to consistent borders across centuries, repeated usage on independent maps, and manuscripts like the one from 1357, documents that treated Tartaria not as vague land. They argue that even if Tartaria was not a single unified empire, it was more than ignorance, more than a placeholder. The truth may lie somewhere in between. Tartaria may not have been a centralized empire like Rome or China, but it was clearly more than imagination. It existed, at least on paper, across centuries. And paper, in history, matters. Because history is not only built on ruins, it is built on records. When borders change, history changes with them. Names are rewritten. Regions are reclassified. What was once common knowledge can slowly become forgotten, not erased by force, but by time, by language shifts, by political restructuring, by new maps replacing old ones. The 1357 manuscript remains important for one reason. It proves Tartaria was once documented without doubt, not as mystery, not as myth, not as legend, but as geography, a part of the world that made sense to the people recording it. Today, we study ruins, old maps, faded ink, trying to understand how a land could vanish without a clear explanation. Because if something once recorded, copied, and accepted can disappear from memory, then history is not fixed. It is revised, simplified, sometimes forgotten, and that raises a final question. If a land once written into maps and manuscripts can fade into obscurity, what else has been forgotten? What other names, places, or peoples still hide between the lines?